Hey beautiful people, I'm Amy Just Doing Me, and I'm back today to talk about a very interesting topic. Do men really want successful, smart women? Can they handle it? Is it a turn off? The smarter you are, the more successful you are, the less likely you are to find a good man. Is this a myth? Is this the truth? This video is actually inspired by kind of like a situation that happened with Warren and Mariam. I love Mariam. If you haven't watched that video, I will link it in the description box. Mariam basically did a video about why her and her relationship with Warren broke down. And there was something that she said, she kind of touched on it. I felt she didn't really want to elaborate too much, but I'm going to. So let's get into this video. Looking good. I'm feeling good. Okay guys, so I kind of went away to listen to what Mariam had to say about the situation again, because the first time she said it, I clocked it, but I wanted to obviously make sure that I'm, you know, pretty much getting the gist of it. Don't want to misquote her. But she basically hinted that the relationship started having a lot more issues from January, when she started getting a lot more opportunities work-wise and she started earning more money.
No relationship's perfect, so of course you go through stuff, and I feel like from January was when I started doing more with work. I started getting big opportunities, I started earning a lot more, and I do feel like work did put a bit of strain on our relationship. I've always been very hardworking, and I've always been very much, I set goals and I make sure I achieve them.
And obviously she was busier, fair enough. She wasn't, you know, maybe as available as she probably was before. But I really felt that when it was like, that put a strain on the relationship, because as much as you think a guy will always want you to do well, your other half will want you to win, he'll be there to support you. That's true a lot of the time to an extent, because masculine pride and the male ego, these are very, very fragile things. You know, a lot of men believe, and you know, women believe it too, that the man should be the breadwinner. The man, or society kind of grooms us to believe that the man should be the head of the household, the breadwinner, and usually men tend to be more successful because we live in a patriarchy. They earn more money than we do, they tend to have a lot more opportunities than we do, and I feel like most men are intimidated when a woman is earning more money than them, when a woman has more opportunities than them, when a woman is more successful than them, and also when a woman is smarter than them. So that's kind of like the topic I wanted to discuss today. I remember 2 years ago my mum saying to me, "Fumi, don't get too successful." Like, at the time I'd had my property for a few years. I was earning really good money working as an account manager for Procter & Gamble. My mom said to me, "Fumi, don't get too successful, or no man will want to marry you." And I just laughed at it at the time, but it did stick with me, because obviously my mom wants the best for me, and it's obviously something she believes. It's stuff I'd heard about as well. You know, when they say that the more successful a woman is, the harder it tends to become to date her. So I was like, oh, is that true, mom? Like, are you really telling me to not, to like halt my success level and like not go as far as I possibly can because of a man, because then I'm gonna struggle to find a man? But like, dating in the last few years has really open my eyes to how true this is, in my opinion. And definitely sound off below if you've experienced the same thing. I feel like a lot of men, as much as they might say, oh, I want a smart, successful, ambitious woman, that's only as long as that woman is not smarter than them, not as successful as them, and not as ambitious as them. Because once you reach their level or higher, you're gonna have trouble, because the man is gonna feel suddenly like he's not achieving the role he's meant to be achieving. It's gonna make him feel insecure. It's gonna make him feel like his position as the man in the relationship is threatened. And a lot of the time I feel like, to counterbalance that, they often go to cheating, or they lash out at you and make you feel bad about their own shortcomings or their own failings. Now I say shortcomings and failings, not that like if you're earning more than a guy, it means he's got a shortcoming or a failing, but often this is how they perceive it. They feel like they're not doing their job, like, and that inadequacy that they're feeling, they tend to transfer to you, the woman that they're dating. Now, in the relationship I've been in, or the relationship I was in for 4 months earlier this year, I found that that was certainly the case. He would go on to me about how he wanted to be treated like a king. I'm not gonna lie to you, I said it earlier, I don't really know how to treat a guy like a king. I'm not the, oh my god, I'm so lucky to have you, oh my god, I adore you kind of girl. It's never been me. Like, I'll treat you good, you know, I'll treat you how you treat me. I can cater to you, I can cook you dinner, I can be nice, compliment you, buy you things, but in the sense of like, I'm so lucky to have you, where would I be without you? I don't know how to do that. I struggle, and I feel like he really needed that from a woman. I feel like, I don't want this to sound badly, but I do feel like a lot of men, they need a woman that can prop up their ego. They need a woman that's not as successful, ideally pretty, but not successful, to prop up their ego. And this is why, because if a woman is attractive, but she's not that successful and she's not as smart as he is, she's a good companion, because in a lot of ways she's going to feel lucky to have him. And in hindsight, I feel like that was an issue in mine and this guy's relationship. I never felt lucky to have him. If anything, I felt like he was probably lucky to have me. I say that, but I don't really mean it. But I just felt like, where maybe other women would have adored and praised him because he was very successful, had a good career, owned his own place, you know, and he was doing pretty well for himself, where that may have caused a lot of women to adore him, want to be around him, want to stick around and praise him. For me, it just didn't have that same level of like significance, because, you know, okay, you've got 2 degrees, you've got a master's, great, I've got 3. I'm sorry, but it is the truth. You own your own place, you're doing well for yourself, okay, great, I own my own place, but I did it 5 years before you did. Like, it's not a competition, but I'm trying to explain the reasons why, you know, I can't awe and gasp at like the amazing things that you've accomplished, because I've accomplished pretty amazing things myself. And I feel like he always felt a little bit like his masculinity was threatened, because I just wasn't willing to be that girl that like fawned at his feet or needed him. He always said like he never felt like I needed him. And I know there's other ways that you can need someone apart from like financially or whatever, because I definitely never needed him in that way. But I do feel like he really struggled. I feel like the start of the end of our relationship is one day he asked me, he was like, Mimi, do you think you're smarter than me? And I was like, not gonna lie, but yes, I do think I'm smarter than you. And you know, it is what it is. Like, how do you really know objectively if you're smarter than someone? I obviously rate my abilities quite highly, you know. I know I'm pretty smart, you know, and I said honestly, you know, and I feel like he just did not take that well. That didn't sit right with him mentally. Like, he couldn't handle being challenged. He couldn't handle that, you know, he was this great guy, a catch by any other standard, you know. Most women would view him as a catch, but yet like all the things that maybe he was prizing about himself, I just didn't rate it as highly as he clearly did. Not to say like I didn't value these things. I liked the fact that he was smart. I thought he was very smart. You know, I liked the fact that he was successful. I liked the fact that he was independent. But all those things to me didn't make me like him or adore him anymore, you know. And I feel like that was an issue. In Mariam and Warren's situation, it's hard to say because you never really know, because you're just looking in from the outside. But I definitely could see that they weren't. My mom always says you need to be equally yoked. I don't know why she always says that, but then she's like, don't get too smart, but or too successful, but she always says you need to be equally yoked. Guys, I'm sweating. Oh, it's hot in here. She says you need to be equally yoked because it seemed like Mariam was having a lot more success. They work in very similar worlds, like that social media modeling kind of field, but it seems like Mariam was having a lot more success. And the thing about it is, when you love someone, you want to support them. She was bringing him on, like she was opening up opportunities for him, opening doors for him. And you would think that a guy or any normal person would appreciate that in you and be thankful and grateful that, like, you know, you're building this great future for them, you're opening doors for them, you're giving them opportunities. But actually the truth of the matter is, it will only, for most men at least, I don't know, I want to say most men, but I don't want to lump them, but a lot of men that I've come across, it will only make them resent you more. The fact that they're not able to do it for themselves, the fact that you're having more success than them, the fact that they feel like instead of them supporting you, you're supporting them, it will only make them resent you more. And that is a very difficult thing for a man to vocalize and say, like, I'm sorry, but you know, I feel threatened by your success, I feel threatened by how well you're doing. Most men can't own up to that. It's not something that you can't really admit that, like, you feel inadequate. So they tend to find other ways to make themselves feel better about their ego being challenged or the ego being like reduced. And a lot of the times I feel like an insecure man will go towards cheating because that's a way to get a boost. And he will never cheat with a lady that's on the same level as you, because what he needs is that adoration. What he needs is the adulation. What he needs is to feel like a king. And a woman that is as successful as you is more than likely not going to be able to adore him the way, you know, a woman that's nowhere near his level is going to be able to. You know, Warren was a model before he met Mariam, and I'm sure to a lot of girls that's extremely appealing. That's very like, oh my god, that's so amazing, I love that, you're a model, you've been on ITV, you're doing really well for yourself. But then when Mariam's a model herself, when she's booking campaigns, when she's been on ITV, when she's earning more money, it's like, how am I supposed to adore these great things about you when, darling, I've got these same great things about me? So I feel like you really need to date somebody that is on your level, you know, successfully, financially, mentally, whatever. You don't have to be, obviously, like, you're not going to be like, oh, we're exactly the same level of smartness, but you know, you need to be equally yoked. You need to balance each other out. You know, if you're smarter than him, is he better traveled than you? You know, does he speak more languages than you? What does he bring to the table that you don't bring to the table? Because that's something that I love. I don't need for a guy to necessarily be, you know, quote unquote as smart as me, but if he speaks more languages, if he's well traveled, if he can open my eyes to new cultures, teach me things, you know, and show me experiences that I've never experienced before, I value and I rate those things extremely highly. You know, but if you're dating someone that's never traveled, isn't cultured, not as smart as you, you're really gonna struggle. You know, some people are fine with that. Some men will be fine with that because, you know, they're just along for the ride. They will use you until they can dump you because they're getting a lot out the equation. But long term, they cannot see themselves, most men cannot see themselves settling down with a woman that is more successful than them. And there's that argument as well that when a woman is more successful, she tends to deride the man, or she tends to not value him as much. I would say maybe that's true, but I would say that that is not the majority of women. I feel like women are naturally compassionate and naturally like home givers, carers. You know, we want to cater to our man, we want to make him feel good. We're kind of raised to believe that that is our role anyway. I will always try my best to make a guy I'm with feel good, spoil him, let him know he's adored, but I am not used to having to dumb myself down or like feign adulation to make a man's ego like prop it up or make him feel better about himself. Now, even on that sense, like Warren wasn't as successful as Mariam, but this guy that I was dating, he was probably, if not as successful as me, he was more successful. You know, in some senses, financially or career-wise, he's definitely earning more than I am now. So it's not just always a case of being more successful. It's also, do we need as women to factor in a man's pride, factor in a man's ego? You know, even though he was more successful than me, I didn't necessarily care. I didn't treat him any better. I didn't adore him anymore. And maybe perhaps I should have. Maybe I should have factored in the fact that men need that. Maybe they do need the ego stroking. They need to feel adored. And I'm starting to really realize that, you know, as attractive as we might think it is, having a lot and bringing a lot to the table, you know, for most men, if you're more successful, you're more in different ways than they are, it's actually going to scare them. So is it now a case that we have to, I say, dumb ourselves down, take a back seat, maybe not shine so bright, maybe we have to dim our shine to let them feel like the kings that they are? Or do we have to prop up their ego? Do we have to rate their abilities or verbally rate them more than we actually do? Should I have said, yes, I think you're smarter than me, even though I don't think he's smarter than me? Should I have said, yes, I can't live without you, or, you know, I need you? Or should I have, like, I don't know, stroked his ego more because a man needs that? Is that something that we should be doing? I'm leaning more towards yes, and I'll tell you why. I went on another date recently, and it was such a good date. It was such a good date, in my opinion. I am literally boiling. The hair is getting there. Getting all the kinks out. Let me just do the front. In my opinion, it was such a good day. I'm kind of a sapio, is it called sapiosexual? Like, I'm very attracted to the mind. If I can sit down with you and have an intellectual debate, you're halfway to my heart. If you speak multiple languages, cultured, if you're like just a very well-rounded person, I'm very attracted to that. Not just personality, not just looks, but like literally how well-rounded you are. I had this date where we had such intellectual conversation. It just flowed, and he was very open-minded in terms of his views, which is something that the previous guy wasn't so open-minded. I had such a good day, and I came back home and I went on my story. I was like, oh my god, I had the best date. Smart is so attractive. I had the best intellectual debates with this guy. And one of my friends, like, messaged me. She's actually a subscriber, that's how I met her, and she said, don't be too smart because men don't like that. And it really just brought back what my mum said to me a few years ago: don't be too successful because men don't like that. This is what she says. She said, don't drive them away with smartness. Most guys don't like girls knowing more than them. Better to act like you know nothing because they feel better, and when they think you've learned from them. She says she's tried and tested this, and no guy likes to be oppressed. That's interesting, because I would never have thought that being smart and bringing your own intellectual capacity to the table would make another person feel threatened or oppressed. But I certainly found in my last relationship that it did. He was always like insecure or threatened by the fact that I was able to have strong opinions, voice them, and, you know, as much as I'm willing to listen to yours, you're not going to sway me just because you're a man. Like, you need to come with facts, you need to come correct before you're going to sway me from my own opinions. So that was the first thing that she said, and I was like, whoa, really? Like, men don't really want a girl that's too smart. She's tried and tested this. I actually think she's right. What do you guys think? Guys don't really want someone that's too smart. They don't really want someone that's too successful because it threatens them. It's called acting, especially if you're marrying a man with money. You will deliberately always let him have the upper hand, and he will always feel like a man around you. Now that, for me, this is news to me, because I'm like, no, we're gonna fight, we're gonna debate. I'm never gonna let you just win a debate just because you're the man. But now I'm learning that, okay, maybe that's something that I have to do. Maybe I have to like be able to, like, what's the word I'm looking for, submit more, so that he feels like more And then she gave me some phrases that I should try using. She was like, tell him you're such a man. Wow, you're my hero. You're brilliant. So I'm actually going to try these things out, but I wanted to come and have this discussion with you guys. Have you found that the more you bring to the table, the less men want to sit at that table? And it sucks, but it seems like we may have to, you know, I'm not going to ever say don't shine as brightly, don't achieve what you can achieve just because you want to find someone, but maybe not brag about it as much, maybe not boast about it as much. Maybe that's what we have to do. Maybe we just have to, you know, just like put a little veil around it, or you have to find a man that has way more, so that what you have and what you bring to the table doesn't challenge him, that he's so much smarter, you know. But Jesus Christ, that's hard. That is hard. So I want to open up this discussion and let me know your thoughts. I'll also quickly share something. One of my really good friends, back when we were growing up, she dated this guy. We were children at the time, really, back in college. She was so much more attractive than him, you know, and you know, she gave him a chance. She ended up falling in love with him. A year later, he had cheated on her so many times. A guy that like should have felt lucky to have her, not even like aesthetically anywhere near in the same ballpark, like nowhere near. But the thing is, you think a guy would adore you more because you're better, or you're doing better, or you're more attractive, or you're no. If anything, it makes him feel more insecure, and because of his insecurity, he had to go and prove that he was attractive, he was desirable, he could get girls. The only way he could do that was by cheating on her numerous times with very basic girls to prop up his ego, to make himself feel better. And it's just a catch-22. Like, what do you do if you're too attractive, you're too smart, you're too, you know, whatever? You're always going to intimidate and make men feel insecure. Sign off in the comment section below. Never internalize it, by the way, ladies, because a lot of times they'll make it feel like it's your fault that they don't want to be with you, or your fault that they're cheating on you, because they cannot accept that deep down they feel inadequate because you are more successful, you are smarter, you are more attractive. They cannot accept it deep down, and they will try and make you feel like you're the issue. So guys, my hair is fully straightened, no kinks anywhere in sight. It looks bam. It looks bam. Let me know, guys, what you think of it. I think I'm sweating a lot of lace off. I'm not gonna lie, it's hot as hell in here. I'm Mimi, Just Doing Me. My hair is linked in the description box. I'm sending love and light to Mariam. I'm glad to see that she's doing so well. She's glued up, darling. She's booked and busy, and the next guy she dates hopefully will be equally yoked, far more successful, you know, and will not be threatened by an independent, successful, smart and beautiful woman. You're looking good, you're feeling good. Make sure you subscribe before you go, eh?
Classic. Oh na na na, oh na na na.